What up, what up, what up? You tune into the Enveonline podcast. We back after a long hiatus. You rocking with your host, one half of Enveonline, son of a Jones, and to my left.
Is the other half dressed in black, Azar Johnson.
All right. Yo, man, it's been a long hiatus. The last time we was here, my Celtics was winning the championship.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
Shout out to the Celtics. We just picked up Lonnie Walker today. Shout out to Brad Stevens. That's a GM right there. How is your GM doing for the Knicks, sir?
He's doing great because we got an All-Star. Didn't we get Rudy Gobert? Didn't you check that out?
Oh, no, I didn't know if that was fake news or not. Is that fake news?
I don't think so.
How did your GM manage to get Jalen Brunson to take $100 million pay cut?
Because he's a smart man.
Yeah, okay.
And he's looking to win a title and make you say, go away. That's what he is.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yes, sire.
So that was the last time we was here, just kind of drinking champagne. Then the Olympics. Olympics.
Yes.
Did you tune in? Shout out to everybody who participated for the American side in all space, track, all that.
Yes.
We had hip hop premiere in the Olympics, and I think it was a great move to add for hip hop culture. I want to say Crazy Legs from the Bronx and a few others was volleying for a part of hip hop to be a part of the Olympics. So that was kind of a shock to me. What did you think overall, before we get into the discussion, what did you think about the breaking being added to the Olympics?
I think that's great for the culture. I think that's great for what we, for us being recognized in there and showcasing that is really a skill and talent and something at a level that we have to do. You know what I mean? It's not easy. Like you have to be skilled and talented to do that. You can't just get up and just say one day I'm gonna be a break dancer. It don't work like that. It takes practice, hard work, effort. It takes all that. So I think it's very big. Now, what we saw in the outcome, I don't know if that was a great thing, but it's a step in the right direction. Let's just say that. That's all I'm gonna say.
I guess one of the things I'm disappointed is, for some reason, this seemed like a test run. And then they announced, we're not bringing it back for 2028 when the Olympics are in LA.
Which was crazy.
I thought that would have been the perfect opportunity to let breaking build. Because like you said, from what we saw, see, I was getting into it on social media with a few people about this. And he was like, oh, you just don't understand. That was our best that we sent out there from the American side. And you just don't understand. Asia just, there's no way we could beat them. I'm just like, certain aspects, I've seen better breakdancers in a train station in New York City.
Oh, my God.
Because I work in New York City.
Yeah.
When I got to go to the office, when they call me in and I got to travel down to New York and go on the trains to get to the office, I've seen better breakdancing inside the terminal sometime.
Yeah, yeah.
Shout out to Ray Gun from Australia. The one that was doing the kangaroo hop and boy, oh boy.
What about the other lady that was doing it? That was bad.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That was the worst one.
Did you see when Elle Duncan was talking about that?
Mm-hmm.
She was like, "Oh my God!" She was like, "Yo, I can't believe and she did it. Elle Duncan kind of said something. I don't know I can't remember the exact words, but I shared exactly the words that came right out of her mouth about that. Let me just say that. So that's what I'm gonna say about that.
So real quick before we get to the other main topics, because we got a lot of discussions, from some politic discussion, some sports discussion, some hip hop discussion. We got a lot of topics to cover. But since we here with the Olympics are coming to LA for 2028. And me and you were talking about this before the podcast. You're a few years older than me, but you remember when they brought the Olympics to Atlanta, ATL. Can you briefly talk about that, for what that did to the ATL community?
Well, one, of course, it brought a lot of money. It also helped change the landscape because it helped build new stadiums, new arenas. It just changes the whole landscape of things. So it's like, for example, every sports team wants a new stadium or new arena every few years. When Atlanta got that, that was a serious upgrade. And you got to remember when that happened, the Falcons weren't the biggest thing. The Hawks weren't the biggest thing. The Braves were probably popping, but not everybody else was popping. So I think my whole thing is that when you think about it, it just changed the whole landscape of things, sports-wise, financial-wise. Like, it brought a lot. Because I think after that, like, Atlanta had always been a black mecca, but it really popped off. It really, really popped off.
Now, we saw a little bit on the TV series BMF. So BMF is obviously the story of, you know, the brothers that came from Detroit and they so forth and so forth. But they showed a little bit of Atlanta during that time where they had the Red Dogs cleaning up the streets of Atlanta. And we saw how that was a big issue for the streets, per se, the streets. Now, with the Olympics coming to LA, with everything that we've seen happen in LA, the Nipsey Hussle murder, PNB Rock murder, all the extortion, the gang culture out there, do we think that over these next 4 years that LA needs to get ready for what's about to come over there?
Yeah, because let me talk about this. What they don't talk about when the Olympics came to Atlanta, and I'm not gonna say, well, we have family down there, right? And people that we knew down there, I remember when that was all going on, and they had talked about that. They said that everything changed. They said that they gentrified the community, like they were getting everything out. They was cleaning house, so you couldn't be out there hustling drugs, doing whatever you was doing.
Not that we're condoning it,
but you couldn't be out there doing whatever you was doing. They were cracking down on everybody because at the end of the day, just even innocent people that had no choice but to live in that environment because they wanted to crack down and clean everything up for the Olympics. LA's about to go through the same thing.
That's what I was getting at.
So I can tell you now, and I'm not trying to be a tough guy, sound funny, but all that, yo, this my hood, this my block.
You need to check in.
Yeah, ain't nobody gonna check in with you. They're gonna check your ass up out of there. Trust me when I tell you, you're talking about the Olympics. So all the people from all the countries are gonna play that game.
Big U and Whack 100 is not going to be calling shots for the Olympics.
I wish. No, they're not. No, they're not. You know what they're going to do?
Whack 100 ain't going to make nobody check in?
Nope. He absolutely not one bit. Not one bit. He's not going to make anybody check in. Not Big U, not any of those gang, and no disrespect. It's just what it is. People that don't look like you, that's going to come in there, that has more money,
that's interesting.
More power, real ownership.
Wow.
And they're not going to check in with you. They're going to go and roam where they want. If you act up one time, your behind is going in jail, or probably even worse. So I'm just telling you.
So now that we done went that far, what does this really mean for the street culture of LA?
It just means what you mean. Like
let's keep it all the way 100.
Well,
we saw what happened with the Red Dogs down in ATL. LA, they big and bad on gang culture. That's their claim to fame.
All day.
Rolling 60s, Power Rule, this, that. You know, I can't name all the gangs. So salute to all y'all. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. They're about to crack down something serious. And I mentioned Big U and Whack 100 because they're constantly in the media about who needs to check in with who and yada, yada, yada. What's about to happen over the next 4 years? Because I'm pretty sure they're going to start now.
Yeah, they're going to start now. They're going to start cleaning up the areas. You're not going to be able to hustle certain things in there. You're not going to be able to roam where you go as pleased. They're going to change the neighborhoods. They're going to build stadiums. That's why the Clippers got that arena. That's why the Clippers got that new arena. I could tell you somebody else. For the Olympics to happen, you have to build multiple arenas. You have to have, well, which they already have. You have to have it for baseball, soccer, you know, stuff on the beach, for rowing, all that. You know, I can't keep track of everything. Of course, basketball. So you got to have all that. You can't, you know, and you know, LA is big. It's a super big city. But wherever you're at, where they have hotels and stuff, you're not going to be able to be trying to get people. In other words, like, it's a different thing of saying all these people are coming out here for the hip hop awards, the BET hip hop awards, and all those award shows, right? They're not going to do that in there. That's not going to work. You can't just roam around and say, oh, we caught you slipping in the wrong hood, we're going to rob you. That's not going to work here. You have all the top athletes from every country in the world coming to this city, and you have top professionals and top
Not
people.
just in the you said it right, the world. I'm sorry.
No. Top professionals, top people, like from the country, top representatives. You not that game banging. That's not gonna mean nothing. You think that's gonna mean something? That ain't gonna mean nothing to them. They don't care. Get your ass up out of here. Who you talking to?
Let me throw a little.
And let me say this. I want to see the statistics after the Olympics. There ain't gonna be one crime being committed.
Well, this is where I'm about to go with this. Mm-hmm. So a little history on certain gangs, not all of them. Mm-hmm. So, for example, an acronym for the Crip gang was Community Revolutionaries in Progress. It was really a community based back in the 60s when they started. If you're smart, you might want to start coming together and passing certain initiatives within sets to clean up the neighborhoods by yourself. Mm-hmm. Let me drop that little gem. This would be a perfect time to shine the light in a positive manner on your gangs. Mm-hmm. If you're smart. Don't wait until 2027 in November to start trying to get your act together. If you're smart, you might want to start tying up some loose ends and start passing initiatives. Then maybe you could start volleying for contracts, government contracts, maybe to clean up your own neighborhoods. Because if you could do that, then you might be onto something. Yeah. That's just a little gem. Before we leave the Olympics, they said USA basketball is on their last leg. Mm-hmm. You know, with LeBron retiring, Steph Curry, Durant. Mm-hmm. They think we done, man. So real quick, just a few minutes. What are your thoughts on USA basketball before we transition to other topics?
I don't think we're done.
Me neither.
One, let me say this. This is no disrespect to Steve Kerr, but I don't think he did the greatest coaching job. Can we say that?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
He didn't do the greatest coaching job. So you got Steve Kerr that's running around here that did not do the greatest coaching job. You had the world champion Jason Tatum sitting the bench. He didn't even play games.
We're going to see how that's going to work this upcoming season on our revenge tour.
How you thought that was okay was insane. Then you had, and I think at one Joel Embiid wasn't playing either.
No, he was playing. He was just playing horrible. But they kept forcing him to start. But that's a whole nother topic.
Okay, well, Embiid didn't feel like he was getting enough time that he's supposed to be getting. And then, I don't know. I think the coaching is going to be different.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think Kerr is going to be back. He said he's thinking about stepping down. I think your ass needs to step down.
Think you might be thinking right.
Jaylen Brown wasn't on the team.
Finals MVP.
Yeah, he wasn't even on the team. I don't even know who the top college player was, but they weren't on the team either.
No. Well, he was a high school player. He's not valuable, but still, yeah, I know what you mean.
You get what I'm saying? Like the top, it was hard to pick who they need to put on the team. There was a lot of players that should have been on that team, and they weren't on that team. So I can assure you, this
2028,
yeah, it'll be way better. Because I'm telling you, the rest of the world is coming.
France.
And you can't just
France
say...
in particular.
You just can't... Let me say real quick, let me share this. The Dream Team, the original Dream Team, they really didn't want to do... Jordan and them didn't want to really do the whole Dream Team thing. I think, though, what ended up happening, we got beat. Or we weren't producing as much as we were supposed to be, like dominating. So the U.S. put up the Dream Team put together, and they ran through this the different countries, right? I think at some point we're now starting to get back to, I think players want to play for the Dream Team, but now you're trying to look for a certain, it's a lot of politics. And if you make it a lot of politics, you're going to catch a silver medal. You do not want to lose the Olympics in your own country.
Yeah, like
that is just no.
Like you're sitting up here telling me that Jaylen Brown and Kyrie Irving isn't on the Olympic team for politics.
That's insane.
But Kyrie's the best ball handler we ever seen in our generation, and we saw what Jaylen Brown is. Let me say this moving forward
from the Knicks,
Brunson, him too.
He wasn't on there.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Back with the Dream Team, there was a total of 12 international players that had NBA experience, and 2 of them came from Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico is a part of the United States. So technically, only 10 players internationally had any form of NBA experience. That number is pretty much quadrupled. There was like 60 players in FIBA who had some form of NBA experience, whether they was in the NBA
Right.
or so forth. And it's going to get larger in 4 years.
Right.
So we can't afford to pit out a half-ass team come 2028.
No.
Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum need to be on that team. Zion Williamson, I hope you're healthy and in shape because you need to be there. And a few other players. But that's just start. I want to see Zion Williamson healthy in 2028. He needs to be flying on the floor, dunking on people. But yeah, you know, to everybody that thinks we on our last leg, I hate to tell you, buddy, we ain't done yet.
It's just who was picking the players.
Grant Hill.
Really? And I love Grant Hill.
We love you to death, but you know that was some BS. But that's just on that. Let's get into some other topics.
Can I say it one more time? Grant Hill was picking the players.
He was a part of the committee.
I need to know. You know what? When we get back on that, we'll find out. I need to know who was on the committee because you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah. So last time we was here, President Joe Biden was still the nominee going into the election. It's been a month and a half since our last podcast. So you guys already know out there that now he stepped down and Vice President Kamala Harris is now the Democratic nominee moving forward. Before I get into my questions and bullet points, what are your thoughts on Biden stepping down and VP Kamala Harris is now the elect?
I think they didn't have a choice. I think when you look at it with Biden and them, let's just keep it real. Like Biden, he ain't look good up there. He looked bad, man. So now you put him up there, and you could kind of see in the polls like people was like, "Yo, this dude don't know what he's doing." You know what I mean? Like he looked lost out there, and then you got Trump out there, and even when you see the debate, you just get depressed, but you kind of feel like because Trump is more aggressive and he looks the better of the two, it's like being insane.
He can throw quicker zingers out.
Yeah, right. You're gonna rock with him. Now with Harris coming in, somebody that's younger, you gotta look like yo, why we rocking with this dude? You get what I'm saying?
It's no longer we got 2 78-year-olds up there and one looks better than the other.
Yeah, that's just bad. So I think Harris, and I think the Democrats knew they wasn't gonna win with Biden. They knew that. They don't want to acknowledge it, but they knew that. And I think that, I mean, and I saw another thing that's on the sidetrack, but it's like you said, we've been kind of doing a lot with sports and everything, what we've been doing. But it's funny how RFK switched and went to Trump. I was shocked about that because that just happened yesterday, right?
You was shocked, buddy? You didn't know we have a whole bunch of conservative Democrats?
I knew he was conservative against the Democrats, but I didn't know he was rocking with Trump. I never thought I was
called that
out.
I was listening to certain forums maybe last year, and people said, watch RFK. They say he's one of the ones. Yeah, I was hearing that last year.
Really?
So when he did it, I wasn't surprised.
Yeah, but he kind of, I didn't think he was going to roll with Trump. He's kind of more of, I don't like what the Democrats are doing. We know what the gig is, what they trying to pull.
And I agree with that.
And he rolls with it. But to see him stand next to Trump is like, oh, you going way over.
Your father rolling in his grave, buddy.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning is for that. I don't know where he's going with that. I'm kind of shocked. So why you say it like that?
I'm just not.
You're not shocked?
Nah.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked he's standing over there. Because I would have never thought I'd seen. Because he doesn't seem the type that he don't roll with him either. He just needs to stay independent. You know what I mean? Like, we do what you've been doing. And I don't know. I don't see that. That ain't gonna work. They ain't gonna get Trump that many votes. You know.
So let's get into it. Speaking of the new Democratic nominee, we've been seeing everything in the news, and we got our own personal opinions and so forth. So number one question. Is America ready to be ran by a black woman, which is VP Kamala Harris?
I don't think they got a choice. They're not an option. You either roll with Trump or you can go over there with her.
Well, I want to go deeper. It's not do they have a choice. I'm saying from everything we've seen,
Do we
outside of our personal opinions as Black people, we got to remember America's demographic, 75% and so forth and so forth. Is America as a whole, are they ready to let go of the stronghold and be ran by a Black woman?
I think yes, because I don't know. I think when you look at Obama, I think they were very angry and rageful. Let's just call that what it is. But I mean, he went for 8 years. Mm-hmm. So clearly, if you can go with him, you can go with her. You get what I'm saying? It's just what it's going to be. I do think they can. I do think. I think she will do probably a similar job to what Obama did. You get what I'm saying? So I it is what it is, and you know, I think mentally yes. I think mentally yes. Yes, we do. Yeah, I think that America as a whole is ready. If Obama came in there and did what he did, and they was all for him, I think with Harris they will do the same.
You don't think if Michelle ran, she wouldn't win by 80%?
Facts. She would win easily.
Mom.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm shocked she didn't go in there. I don't understand why she didn't do it. Just go. You know what I'm saying? So I'm with you. I think she would win. Where are you going with this, D?
Nah, it's a fair question.
No. I want to know your take. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
My take is I'm 50-50 because I'm paying it like me and Ty was talking before the podcast. Mm-hmm. I would hope America is ready to let go of the stronghold that they had and not pull a blunder, because as much as people would like to think we're a progressive country, we had a chance to do this with Hillary Clinton, whether we liked the choice or not. And if you look at the exit polls of who voted in favor against her and for Trump, you would be surprised. All those people that were online saying, hey, we're your allies, they voted over 50-something% for Trump. Like the statistics showed it. If you pull up an exit poll from that 2016, it showed. I'm holding up a piece of a paper. Mm-hmm. Let me see. So the New York Post, and this is dated August 20th, so over a week old, and pretty much from the opening piece of the paper says more Dem crime and madness. I had the liberty of reading through this entire paper, and it seemed like a Democratic hit piece. And you're free to vote for whoever you want to vote for.
Right.
I'm not telling you got to be a Democrat or a Republican on this podcast. But going into the question, there's a piece by Daniel McCarthy from the New York Post, and he's pretty much saying that Kamala Harris is set up to fail because she's untested and unready. That's what we're hearing in the news. Not just Fox News, but obviously in newspapers and so forth. They're trying to push that VP Kamala Harris is untested, and we need to worry about her more than who Trump is. So I'm a little iffy. Like, I know who I'm voting for. I'm not going to say it on a podcast, but if you ask me, is America ready? I don't know. I would hope so, but this man wrote everything in this column outside of saying the word she's a DEI hire.
Yeah, that's the new code too.
That's the new code word. So this is an opinion piece that I have, and you see right here, there's a little graphic. You can read that? The cartoon graphic?
Let me see.
See the cartoon graphic? Kamala-onomics?
Yes.
And there's an empty flag coming out of it, pretty much saying
crazy.
she don't have a policy for the economics.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna blow it up, Mr. Daniel McCarthy. This is what the New York Post and Daniel McCarthy thinks of Kamala Harris. We get that graphic in there. So that's just my answer. I don't know.
Right.
I don't. It's hard to read sometimes, but that's just my. I would say this though, with all the political news coming up, I'm seeing that a lot of people miss the cartoon Schoolhouse Rocks. That was such an important cartoon that's so slept on because Schoolhouse Rock went over the 3 branches of government. The judicial, the legislative, and so forth. And I'm seeing people not understand the basic function of government when they talk about either party, whether Democrat or Republican, about why policies get passed, what the legislative government does, what the executive branch does, and how presidents just don't, they're not dictators, and at least in America.
Right.
They got to go through Congress and the Senate to get laws passed and so forth and so forth. So I'm happy that we're discussing VP Kamala Harris and what's coming on. I would be more happier if people, grown adults, understood the 3 branches of government outside of the president.
Right.
Because it doesn't seem like it.
Right.
You know, we're slowly getting there, man. Salute to everybody. Salute to Schoolhouse Rock. They need to bring that back.
Right.
Follow-up question. So we talked about, is America ready for a black woman to be president? The inverse of that. Can America survive a second half of Donald Trump?
No. No.
Oh, you saying no emphatically?
No. It just, I think it will get a little bit more. They keep saying, how can I put this? They keep saying when he got in the presidency, it was like, oh, it's gonna go crazy. It's doomsday. I don't think if you take COVID out of the equation,
But it's hard to take COVID out of the equation because how many people died?
I get it, but what I'm saying is if you take COVID out of the equation, let's just say everything was running regular, how crazy was it? Do you get what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
It was still pretty bad outside of COVID.
It was pretty bad.
The tax cuts that he did for a certain class of people that we're filling now, and we're not going to get done filling that until 2027.
Really?
Yeah. There's some tax implications that he put in place that's still going to be haunting us until 2027.
I think
amongst other stuff economically.
Right. I think
the first 2 years when people, because I see this people saying, well, things weren't as bad economically the first 2 years under Trump, and it's like there was a gap in between the other election, you know, the Senate and so forth. So we were still running under old policies. Once that switched, stuff started going downhill very quick economically. I mean, at least you can pull it up, but you go ahead.
No, I think that the reason why I say I don't think that I don't think that you can go through that Project 2025. It's going to go bad. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't. It's the what you're promoting, it's what you're pushing, it's what's going to come on the back end. I mean, you trying to give immunity to cops.
I'm more worried about that.
It's the stuff it's stuff like that no, we can't go through another time like that. And let me say this, and I'm not going to sidetrack, but please, man, do not listen to people say, yo, don't vote what I'm going to get my vote for. You don't have the money or the power to do what you right in what you're saying. Like, we shouldn't be over there tap dancing to everybody what they're doing. But hear what I'm saying. Till we get to that level, we got to work with what we got. So do not give your vote. Because whoever is saying that is not going to uplift the whole community. You're not going to move us back to Africa. You're not going to get us
even locally.
Yeah, right. So what I'm saying is don't listen to that. What I'm telling you is with Trump, I don't think we can go through another 4 years of that. I mean, it's dangerous. I don't think people understand how dangerous it is. You can't go to give you an idea of what I'm saying. You know this because our family comes from the Deep South. He's trying to give immunity to cops just for the shootings. Now, I forgot the young lady's name that we just witnessed where the cop went in there because she had boiling hot water and he shot her dead in the head. If Trump, if he gets in and that policy goes through, that cop's not even going to jail. He's not even losing his job.
Well, even recently with Breonna Taylor, the sister Breonna Taylor that we lost a few years ago.
Right.
The judge just came out and it pretty much exonerated the cops and said it wasn't the cops' fault. It was her boyfriend's fault.
Yeah, that was insane.
I'll say that again. The judge installed for Breonna Taylor case said it wasn't the police fault for shooting in the house for a no-knock warrant. It was the boyfriend who was inside fearing for his life, trying to protect Breonna Taylor. It was his fault because he returned fire on a legal gun.
Right.
This branches of government.
Right.
See, I just said branches of government.
Right.
Who's installed in the Supreme Court?
Republicans.
Oh, okay.
Republican influenced. Let me say that.
Yeah. Okay. So now, if you're not voting locally, if you're not voting down the ballot for other things outside the president, and we start getting hit with certain politicians locally, we start getting hit with certain things in the Congress and the Senate, we start getting certain Supreme Court judges installed for the next 30 years. What you think is going to happen when you sitting at home not voting?
It's going to get worse, real worse. And it kind of.
Can I add one piece?
No. Go ahead, bro.
So I say this: my life is halfway over. I'm in my mid-30s. The life expectancy in America, I think, is what, 76. It's like 76
Something like
or something.
that, yeah.
So I'm at the halfway mark. The way I'm looking at it, locally and above local, it's like I'm not just voting for me. I got kids that ain't even 10 yet. I'm voting for, in 30 years, they don't have to deal with what I'm dealing with.
Facts.
Certain people are saying, well, I don't care. I'm straight. But what about your kids, your nieces, your nephew, your grandchildren?
Right.
But go ahead.
Well, I think to kind of give you an idea, because we talked about, the cop shooting. If you still have a family member that's within, I think my grandmother would be like 83, 84. I'm sorry. The age is slipping me in my head right now. Go speak to them about what it was like before civil rights. Because that's where that is where it's going. And I'm telling you, that was a scary time. And let me tell you the effects of that. And I'm not trying to sidetrack. Just let me tell you the effects of that, to tell you how important that is, that we make sure that doesn't happen. Because you talk about your kids, right? I saw, and just from personal experience, I saw family members who I won't name suffer from post-traumatic slave syndrome. That's a real thing. So I'm telling you, it will affect down the line. Who's telling you not to vote, they do not understand it. They do not have ancestors that went through it or family members that went through it. Because if they did, they would know the importance of it. I'm telling you, it is important. And I'm telling you, and I'm not going to throw the shot I really want to throw. But my grandparents were down with a certain culture that was telling them that voting is not important. And that is insane. Because those same people, when those laws get enforced, ain't going to be around to help and save and protect you. Let me make that very clear.
I told you, I was I was in the deep South about a year and a half ago visiting family in that beautiful state of Mississippi. There's still certain parts of Mississippi, at least where my family's from, where it still looked like 1950, and I'm not capping.
Right.
Do what you want, but that is what it is. So we ready to wrap up that segment?
Yes. Yeah, I just think you ask, can we go through another 4 years of Trump? Not this time.
Oh, I got to answer that on my end.
Yeah,
so on my end, like I said, I won't never tell nobody who to vote for. These is our personal opinions. The personal opinions of Enveonline. We're not pushing it on everybody. These are just our opinions. When you said take the coronavirus off the table, I personally can't take the coronavirus off the table because the way it was handled. We got people all around us that was affected within hip hop culture and just every day. I mean, you could look up the statistics of how many Americans we lost, not just black people, but all Americans. That blunder was at there's a montage, I want to say either on D.L. Hughley's page or Joy Ann Reed's. Somebody has this montage from January 2020 all the way up into November of how he was in a press conference saying, oh, it's going to go away. Don't worry about it. It's going to go away. Every single month. Because that was fumbled so bad, it just went 10 times worse. We can't have that level of incompetence running the biggest seat in our branch of government. That's just on that level. Now, there's other policies. Like I said, I don't want to see any more conservatives being planted in the Supreme Court when we're still trying to fight for rights.
Right.
It's going to be an uphill battle to get Roe v. Wade back. That's just one thing. We're not talking about health care. We're not talking about the housing crisis, global warming, a bunch of other topics that I can be talking about.
Yeah.
It gets 10 times hard to pass laws when you have a majority conservative Supreme Court. That's another reason why I don't think we could survive another Trump presidency.
Correct.
Unless you're within the top 1% of earners, where you just pretty much can buy your way out of anything.
Right.
Hey, global warming's getting too hot. Hey, man, let me take my $10 million and move to Canada or move somewhere else for right now. Oh, hey, y'all peasants can't afford healthcare. Well, I got $50 million in assets. I'm fine. See, yeah, it benefits the top 1% of earners. But those of us on the bottom who's making under $250,000, it's going to be pretty much shit out of luck. That's just my personal opinion on it.
Right.
We'll have some more commentary as the next couple months come up, because we're going into September and things are about to start heating up before November.
Yeah. Oh, I'm pretty sure it's going to be more. And I think also another concern is with Trump, he wants to kind of get rid of like federal agencies and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, with the Department of Education.
It is, yeah. You bugging out, man.
I skipped that one. Oh, you get rid of that. You get rid of the federal funding for agencies like agriculture, like
Yep.
what's the regulations that check the planes?
Transportation.
Yeah, you start getting rid of funding for that. We're already having problems with planes not passing regulation. That's been big. If you watch, this ain't no conspiracy theory. You watch the news of what's happening with these planes right now. It ain't just Spirit Airlines. It's not just Spirit Airlines and Frontier. There's something going wrong with regulation and what's happening with these planes. You start letting things like that slip. Oh my God. Same thing with the Department of Education. You start privatizing education. We already have a problem with people from our culture dropping out of school.
Right.
It will be the nail in the coffin for our communities.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that slowly again. Federal funding starts getting taken out of education any more than what it already is, and education gets privatized. It'll be a fast track. It'll be a fast track to doomsday for our communities in education.
Correct.
It will be the nail in the coffin. It will be a wrap. But we'll continue the political part of our conversation in future podcasts. That's just started off.
Right.
Let's move to our next segment. So we're going to start the hip hop segment.
Okay.
Let's get it going. So usually on this podcast, we like to give flowers to a representative within hip hop culture. It doesn't have to be a rapper, it could be a DJ, it could be a breakdancer, whatever. But we have a special person we want to give flowers to within hip hop culture who's been within hip hop for 30 years. He's actually going into his 4th decade of hip hop. It's from Staten Island, from that clan that we all love, because the kids love the Wu Tang clan.
Yeah, Wu Tang is for the babies.
So fill me in. When we was coming up with this and you said, yo, I want to give this person flowers, what made you pick Ghostface Killah as a person that you wanted to give flowers to within hip hop culture?
I think there's 3 things. Well, other than clearly he's obviously one of my favorite out of Wu Tang Clan. There's things that makes you somebody we give flowers to. Your lyrical skills, you're a trendsetter, which Ghostface was, and the fact that he was out of the box. I think when people look at Ghostface Killah, if you want me to keep going?
Yeah.
When people look at Ghostface Killah, and this is just from what I saw from afar as a kid, as watching him coming up in the industry, when I was coming up in hip hop, growing up, listening to it, Ghostface, he transcended a lot of things. Well, Wu-Tang did too, but he transcended a lot. And I'm going to tell you, and people are not going to like what I'm going to say, but, he did the AKAs. So, Ghostface Killah, a.k.a. Tony Starks. Ghostface Killah, a.k.a. Iron Man. Ghostface Killah,
So you saying he's like one of the first ones in hip hop?
To do that. The one that was trying, and yeah, he was trying to hide his face at one point, and do all that. When Yayo does this on his videos, but Ghostface was trying to hide his face. That's not to mention, I know everybody gives props to Cameron and Joel's and how they move and their style and all that. But when you talk about people in hip hop, that when you looked at their video, you was looking to see their style and how they moved and who was representing the culture, Ghostface Killah was the top guy. I'm telling you. When you look, of course Big was, you know, we all know Big, everybody was fine what Big was wearing. But Ghostface was the guy. I can tell you now, he had many styles, he had many looks, and I saw everybody trying to bite his style, and he never gets any credibility for that. I'm talking the chains, I'm talking the clothes, I'm talking the slang, I'm talking his whole look. I've seen people jack it all day.
I hate to do it. I hate to do it to you. So who's one of them? Who will be a son of Ghostface Killah? You know how we use that terminology, like that's my son.
What do you mean?
Come on, you know what I'm saying.
No, I saw people.
Who will be one of his
style.
sons?
I don't want to say sons, but let's just say this: like when you look at Joel Santana and that I know it's Harlem. That's a Harlem thing, but that looks like a young Ghostface to me. That looks like
we about to get in trouble.
I don't care.
So you're saying,
yeah.
Ghost, aka Tone Starks, would be the seed that grew into Dipset.
I think he was one of the major influences. When you go back and look at those videos, when Ghost was always he come out like he was the first one with the robes. Nobody was doing that. They like nobody was doing the robes. He used to come in with the robes, the eagle on his arm. He always had something that was trend-setting. The Wallabies, they called him the Wallaby champ. Nobody was rocking Wallabies, man. He was rocking Timbs and Nikes and Uptowns. Ghost was putting the Wallabies on. Ghost had the big gold chains. Ghost had the one that was talking the New York slang and the Gambino flow and all that. Ghostface Killah was doing that. And let me say this, what makes him unique about it. You got a group of 8 other members that are unique that all stand out. But for whatever reason, he still stood out. He's made trend-setting songs. And let me say this before we keep going. His catalog and his body of work is so big, we only gonna do, we gotta do 2 parts. We can't do first.
Okay.
We can't just do one whole thing. But Ghost had the Gambino flow. He had the New York slang. He repped New York. He repped Wu Tang hard. There wasn't anywhere he could go that he didn't seem out of place or out of pocket. He's also part of, let me also say this, what makes him big. And this is one of the trend-setting things. He's one of very few that made a 5-mic album. Mm-hmm. And I know it's because him and Raekwon made it together. But you got to remember, when they dropped that album, and I'm going to be honest with you.
Only built for Cuban links.
Nobody saw that coming. Nobody saw that coming. And they kind of did. Ghostface stood out in every song, whether it was Protect Your Neck, Mystery of Chess Boxing, Triumph, oh my goodness, what else? Soundtracks like Sunset Park. I think that's Fresh. I'm sorry, Fresh with the Heaven and Hell with him and Raekwon. We're gonna stick with just as far as with the first few Wu Tang. I'm not gonna get into the solo career just yet, but the thing I will say about Ghost, he's never had the backing. And when I say that on a solo stick, he's never had the backing. Ghostface has never had the backing. His first album was on Razor Sharp Epic, okay? Let's just be honest. To give you an idea how Epic and Sony be messing up albums, they tore up Cameron's second album.
Oh, yeah.
That went to crap because they didn't know what they was doing. And that's not a shot. They just didn't know what they was doing. SDE to this day is still Cameron's best album to me, in my opinion.
The way he was spitting, they fumbled that
was a
bad.
whole nother level of Cameron. Nobody can ever touch that Cameron. Point I'm making is with Ghost, his first album was classic. His first
that
solo
Iron Man joint.
Yeah, that Iron Man was bananas.
Liquid Swords.
All that.
All I Got Is You, that Mary J. Blige joint. God.
The songs he's done about women, what he's been through, that's even on a solo joint. We'll touch that in part 2. But for part 1, as far as with Ghostface, for him to come where he has come from with a 9-member group and him and creating a 5-mic album with Raekwon, were only built for Cuban links, and to shine on that album, I mean that alone put him in one of the GOAT sessions. It's the equivalent of When you see
whoa. Say that again.
it puts him in the GOAT status. His body of work.
Ghostface is in the. Where do you got him at?
Top 5. I really think because I keep hearing because they say Eminem, right? I know Eminem made songs that were catered to the radio. I just listen to Ghostface. Go listen to Ghostface's first album, and go listen to Eminem's first album.
So you saying Iron Man will kill Eminem's first album?
Would destroy it. And Ghostface songs would destroy Eminem's songs. Period. And Eminem will tell you that. He's probably influenced Eminem.
So that's another sunset.
I don't care what I'm getting in trouble for. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say.
So we got Dipset, Spawn, at least fashion wise, is the influence of Ghostface.
Yeah.
And now you're telling me that Iron Man from Ghostface is better than Eminem's first album.
Yep. And Only Built for Cuban Links is better. You know, he stood out on group projects. You know, and when he stood out, and I mean, what is it? Can it all be so simple? I mean, wait, what are we talking about? Could you listen to the Can It All Be So Simple remix? Did you listen to, go listen to Only Built for Cuban Links. You can play it from front to back. I can't do that with Eminem's album. Eminem has never dropped a 5-mic album. I'm going to say that again. Eminem has never dropped a 5-mic album. Just want to say it. I think Eminem's...
All right. You about to get me killed when I upload this on TikTok. They're going to kill me.
I think M is a great MC. I think he's... It's not me being biased, but I'm not going to get into the whole list because we're not going to do that.
So just for clarity.
Yes.
You got Iron Man over... What was it? The Marshall Mathers LP? That was his first album? Slim Shady. I'm sorry. You got Iron Man from Ghostface over Slim Shady LP.
Do you want to do, or we can do Built from Cuban Links? That got 5 mics.
So both, damn. Okay. I'm just questioning it.
Mind you, he influenced style, he influenced culture, and he influenced slang. And he's part of a group that till this day, nobody's ever mastered that.
And shout out, can we talk about his style? The style he went to the continent of Africa and came up with?
Yeah.
People got on him about it, big, and people were throwing shots.
Mm-hmm.
But he recently came out and said, I think he was interviewing with the journalist Touré. Mm-hmm. We all know who Touré is.
Yeah, definitely.
So he recently discussed, he never let this out before. He said like he was going through some mental health episodes. I don't know, because back in the 90s, people were doing Sherm and... But he said he thinks it was like a little bit of schizophrenia. So to know that he was battling some form of mental health, whether it be schizophrenia or whether it be, because people was blowing dust, to know he was rapping vividly through all that, do you know what, like, my God, the part of your brain you got to use to rap sober. And to know you was painting vivid pictures with your words.
Facts.
Even with the flow where you were pitting crazy thing. What was one of his craziest bars to you that didn't make sense, but it made sense?
Then what are you saying? Daytona 500. Check the lyrical, spiritual high explosives, slapbacks with Jesus, lick shots at Joseph. I said,
you didn't even have to look that up.
Yeah. I didn't.
He ain't got no laptop. He ain't got no cell phone.
At all.
I just asked him what's the craziest bars that Ghostface spit. And off the top of his head, Daytona 500, he's giving bars.
Yep. Let's not even talk about ice cream. He said, the way he was spitting at the female, and I don't know when I say spitting, just kicking flow to her, that's just a classic New York slang. That's what I think. I'm not going to go the whole soliloquy about what's missing from hip hop. Even with Ghost, as fly as he was, even when you didn't have what he had, you saw yourself in how he spoke and how he delivered. So how he talked in the song about what he was going through or what was going on in the block and what was going on in the hood or how he was relating to a female or just his lyrical content, you could relate to it. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I think Ghost, they cited a lot of trends. They did. Because I keep saying, I know it's Raekwon's album, Only Built for Cuban Links. That's his album too. That's part of his album too. They are all part of him and Raekwon are part of that album. That's their album. even though it's Raekwon's album. But I think it's better than, I think Ghostface does not get the credibility for all the things he trendsetted. I think he does not get the credibility. He was going to get it, because I think at one point he did go to the Def Jam. And
and gave us that R&B album.
Oh my God, that was a killer.
Oh my God.
That was off the hook. That and the one he released on E1 was even better. And then he came back around, and every time he comes back around, he never falls off. If you look when Tiana Taylor had that song with him and Meth, I'm just like, yo, Ghost is there's nothing you can do. It's like Tyson. He gonna hit you and it's gonna hurt.
Gonna hit you with that body shot, then the uppercut.
That's the best analogy I can say. Ghostface's flow is like Mike Tyson. It don't matter how old he is. His flow will hit you hard. It's gonna do what it's gonna do, no matter what the age, no matter what the era. You get what I'm saying? So I think when you look at Ghostface Killah, he's easily in top. Oh my God, yeah, he's in top 10. Go match his catalog. For anybody that has a top 10 of artists that they feel MCs, go think. I want you to go on YouTube all of Ghostface's songs or most of his hit songs, even if you don't want to do most of his real songs, his hit songs. Just tell him, just look at his catalog, and I want you to match it up against who you think. Whether it's Big, probably you're talking about Big and Pac. Yes, we know they're up there. In 50, I think he's somewhere in my top 10. This is just my top 10. But Keith Murray is in my top 10. But when I'm talking about everybody else at a worldwide global stake, Ghostface is in the top 10. And when you think about Wu Tang, you had some lyrical assassins.
For me,
and somehow with Ghost, his identity, who he was, stood out in a 9-member group.
Can I say this though? I think when we're talking about top 10, just like in basketball, how they have eras.
Yeah.
I think it's only fair to pit him against his contemporaries.
Okay.
Meaning,
okay,
Ghostface has been relevant since he's came into hip hop in the early 90s. And we're now in the 2024s. So that means he's been relevant for over 30 years. That means if I'm going to talk about catalog, I got to look at people like Busta Rhymes, people like Eminem. Nori came out in the 90s, but Nori's no longer rapping, so I can't compare him to Nori. Cam came out in the 90s. So Cam is like after him, but now he's podcasting. Hove. Maybe Hove comes back out. Nas. So yeah, when you put it that way and you start looking at his contemporaries of artists who have been relevant longer than 20 years, for really is longer than 25 years, you might have to pick Ghostface in that top 5.
Also, what makes him relevant, what makes him trend-setting, to add another belt to his list, he was part of help bring back the East Coast / New York movement.
Okay.
When Duff Row was running everything and West Coast was running everything, Ghostface was in Ghostface. He just was illmatic. He was part of that. Remember what they say about bringing New York back? It was Boot Camp Click, Keith Murray, Nas, Biggie. I think I said Nas and Biggie. Wu Tang, and Wu Tang. It was what it was. You get what I'm saying? And he stood out on every track. He just did. I can't. He's even like you said on All God Is You, he's like I'm plucking roaches out the cereal box. He's like watching
can we
Saturday
talk about
cartoons.
that real quick?
Yeah.
Obviously there's many hip hop artists that paint vivid pictures. Biggie is one of them. Jay-Z is one of them. Nas is one of them. Rakim is one of them. KRS. We can go down a list. There are many songs that in hip hop culture that you can sit, close your eyes, and visualize the entire rap. When Ghostface was spitting All I Got Is You, if you came from that environment coming up in any hood across America, you knew what it was like not to have milk and had to put water in your cereal. You knew what it was like to shake the cereal box and make sure there was no roaches in there.
Right, yeah.
Like you knew what it was like back in the 80s and 90s having a note from your mother, going to the neighbor and try to borrow something.
Yeah.
Like it just puts you in a certain mode listening to that song like, he's one of us. We are one of him. We can visual. Like that's one of the most visual tracks in hip hop culture. Like, you know how they talk about pitting hip hop in the Library of Congress and how they did with, I think there was an album that they put in the Library of Congress. I don't know if it was Lauryn Hill's album or what. I have to research. But that's like a song that needs to be placed in a museum.
Yeah.
That's just my humble opinion for Ghostface.
Yep.
All I got from you is Ghostface. If they're gonna take a hip hop song and place it in a museum or the Library of Congress representing hip hop culture, Ghostface, All I Got Is You has to be one of those songs.
Yeah.
There's a lot. They put a bunch of albums in. Fear of a Black Planet, Public Enemy, 3 Feet High and Rising, De La Soul, Master Flash, The Message, Chronic by Dre, Revolution Will Not Be Televised, Wu Tang, 36 Chambers individually is in there.
Yep.
Bunch of stuff.
And he created a 5 mic album. If anybody that's from that era knows, Only Built for Cuban Links is 5 mics. That means it's a great album. That's a GOAT album.
Not only
Not
that,
many people have ever done that.
not only that, he said he's high powered. He'll put Adina Howard to sleep. That chick been on his mind all week.
Yo.
But back to you, man.
Yo.
Shout out to Adina Howard, man. When he said that,
Ghost was he was an ill cat, man.
my man.
He's just an ill cat. I don't understand. Like, he's never really mentioned. But see, this is sometimes what I keep saying while we do this. He don't really got, in that era, and this is how, sometimes I'm kind of ashamed. Like, I don't think I cherished it as I thought I should have. Like, Ghostface Killah is like one of the illest cats I ever heard in my life. You dig what I'm saying? But he ain't never mentioned. He's never mentioned. And they say, yo, hey, that was back in a certain era.
No,
but that era, he's still
like when you said with the Tiana Taylor song, like he'll still be featured on a song now.
And shine
now.
Right.
Like he just released the album not too long ago.
Yeah, because the joint with Nas, I think is Scar Tissue. Because he was lighting that up. But he needs, this is the thing. Like, I don't know why, like Cool and Dre, and I don't know who's the hottest producers now. I don't care. I don't understand. I mean, it's a new era now, and money and the labels and all that. But Ghost is still that guy. He's still that guy.
Let me say this. So recently, there's been like individual producers sitting in with an artist like back in the 90s and making albums. There's a few of them that I'm drawing a blank on. Obviously Hit Boy with Nas, but there was some underground with like 38 Special. Recently, Pete Rock linked up with Common and dropped the Auditorium,
right,
which is a great album. I really would like to hear that with Ghostface, him sit down with one producer and do a studio album with that producer.
Yeah.
Like with the Pete Rock or a Premiere or so forth, or his production in general.
And the thing was, and I'm not making excuses, but at the time, I remember Wu Tang had gotten to, and I'm not going to go into a whole soliloquy once again, but Wu Tang had literally gotten to a point where, I mean, you had 9 members, and I think a lot of people don't understand is like you had 5, I think at the time, if I remember correctly, Meth came out first, Dirty was next, I think Jizza was after, or no, Raekwon was after, Only Built for Cuban Links, and then I think Jizza came out after him. So it's hard to come back around. RZA, when RZA is just solely focused on one person, his beats are still up there with the top producers. But, Wu-Tang blew up. They got so big. He's producing for multiple groups. Then he has to circle back around. He does acting. So RZA now, I'm pretty sure still got it. I don't know if he still does beats. But if RZA's solely focused on beat making, it's over. It's over.
So that's for you.
Yeah.
I would like to hear them do like a final compilation to Cuban Links, like make this the final installment with Ghost and Raekwon.
Yeah.
One producer that worked with Raekwon a lot in the past, outside of Scram Jones, is DJ Thorough. I would like to either hear a whole project with Ghostface and Raekwon, like a final compilation, whether it's Only Built for Cuban Links, the final chapter, or however you want to title it, and have production between Pete Rock, Scram Jones, and DJ Thorough. That would be my dream project for Ghostface.
Right.
To finish that final installment with those 3 producers, or just pick one out of them 3.
Right.
Maybe a Pete Rock. Have Pete Rock do the production for the final compilation of Only Built for Cuban Links. That's just my idea.
No, that's dope. That's dope, man. Because I think, like I said, it's just the industry. You know, it is what it is. But, you know, and we had the budget, we get behind that shit all day. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
Salute to our elder statements. Salute to our elder statesmen in hip hop culture. People like Ghostface, like you said, underappreciated, just like Jadakiss. We like. Let me say this before we move on. A lot of people ain't gonna admit this, but early 2000s and 2010, Jadakiss was slept on. Outside of them Green Lantern mixtapes,
Yep.
Jadakiss got appreciated way later.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of feeling that same way about Ghostface.
Yeah.
People are appreciating these guys when they're about to like, when they're about to stop rapping.
Right. Right.
Salute to Ghostface. I think he just posted on his Instagram that he's partnering with Keurig, which is the coffee maker. He's releasing, like, I don't know if it's the Ghostface coffee, but he's doing some business with coffee, man. So I'm happy to see that hip hop culture is also venturing out and doing business. Salute to Ghostface.
Respect.
So we're still going to stay within hip hop. There's a few other topics before we go into our sports. On the media side, there's one media topic I got to talk about.
Okay.
Recently, a media platform by the name of Vlad TV has once again been a habitual line stepper. Do y'all know where I got that habitual line stepper from? Anybody watch the Chappelle show? When he did the Rick James skit. And he was saying, man, yo, Rick James, man, he's just a habitual line stepper. I feel like that's what Vlad TV is in our culture.
Why you say that?
Because he disrespected Marlon Wayans from the Wayans family.
Yeah, you had mentioned that when we was rolling up, and I wanted you to elaborate on that more.
So it's all over the internet. This is a new. It's kind of a week and a half old, but I just wanted to get my take on it. Everybody know who Marlon Wayans is individually and knows the iconic family that he comes from. Basically, I guess Vlad TV was trying to reach out to him and gave him a price, and Marlon didn't like. I don't know how it got out, but it got out to the internet. Then some back and forth ensued, in which it felt like Vlad TV, because of how big he is within media, and because he is a millionaire off of our culture, that he thought that put him on equal footing with the Wayans brothers. Because his pockets are up.
Right.
First, before I go into this anymore, what are your thoughts on Vlad TV feeling like because he's a millionaire now, well, he's been a millionaire for a while, he's on par with some of our hip hop greats or black culture greats?
What do I feel about it?
Yeah.
That he's not. He's made, I give him his props is due. He's made contributions as far as like creating content. But he's not on that level. He ain't gonna never be on that level. He's not. He's not,
like,
man.
just the fact that he felt comfortable saying, well, yo, look, on the internet. See, this was the funny part. He kept saying on the internet, I did this. On the internet, I did that. You realize Marlon Wayne has box office numbers. The internet and box office numbers are two different things, buddy.
First of all, it's not, and let me correct, because I'm a little older than you. You do remember In Living Color, right?
I didn't even get there yet. That was the next point I was about to make.
Okay, you take the lead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's first. That's first and foremost. He did box office numbers.
I was ready to throw daggers. Yeah,
because he tried to play that with Tony Yayo, and Tony Yayo was like, "You don't realize they made David Allegretti, they made Jim Carrey." He was like, "No, that was the older one. That was the eldest Wayne."
You talking about Keenan?
That was Keenan. No, he was still a part of that.
Yeah.
He came under that tree. That was his DNA. He talked about how Keenan Wayans had him as an extra, and I Hate You Sucker. I think the movie was I Hate You Sucker, where he was just walking through at like 15 years old or whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, he's been in the culture since '88 as an extra.
Facts.
And then him and his brother Sean worked his way up in '92 and '94 with The Living Color.
And then the Wayans.
So it wasn't just Keenan. Yes, Keenan put them on, but Sean and Marlon did their work as well since the '90s.
Right.
So just for him to think that because he's worth $10 million, whatever he's worth, that he can be calling shots within our culture, I was just astounded. Like, yo, dude, yes, you great content creator, great platform. You have a legacy on the media side. I'm not taking that away from you.
But you ain't on
But you're
that
talking about a man that's been in our culture for over 30 years. Going back to what we said about Ghostface, when we talk about him and his contemporaries, I can't compare him to J. Cole and Kendrick. As great as they is, they ain't hit the 20-year mark yet.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I love Kendrick. I love J. Cole.
Yeah.
They ain't 20 years in yet.
Right.
Ghostface is 30 plus. Marlon Wayans is 30. I'm sorry. When you got that type of catalog, when you have that type of grind under your name, and you got somebody that's been popping for, let's say, since 2010. Yeah, he started Vlad TV before that, but he got popping after that lawsuit with Rick Ross. So that's post 2010.
Yo,
So I give you've been on a 14-year run in media.
Right.
He's been on a 30+ year run in black culture. I'm gonna say it again. You've been on a 14-year run, Vlad.
I'm so mad.
And we respect you.
Right.
But nowhere in the world can you put a 14-year resume up to somebody who's been in black culture shining since 1988. Then since 1992 and 1994 and so forth and so forth. So go ahead with the In Living Color and so forth.
Well, I just want to say, like, Marlon, I mean, he been in there doing Living Color. Then he went and got his own show with his brother and the Wayans brothers. And then I think he initially was, I think, going to do something with NBC. I don't know what popped off with that. That's not to mention he had
And Above the Rim.
And Above the Rim. All the movies he's been. I can't even
With
keep track of all
Tupac.
that. I can't even keep track of everything he did. So just the movies. Let me just say this: the movies he's been in. He's been in way too much. I can't. So his catalog's too long and too highly respected. And I think that, you know, I mean, I personally, Damon's my favorite brother. I like him. I like all his stuff.
Oh yeah.
But you know, Marlon, yeah, he's a vet. He's an OG. He's
I'm gonna
a
get you
goat.
sucker more money above the
Yeah,
rim.
come
Don't
on,
be a menace
man.
to society.
Really?
The 6 Man, senseless, scary movie. You
And,
know.
and he's and like Vlad, he has produced and funded his own projects. Trust me when I tell you, you know, White Chicks.
Yeah,
that was funny
that was
too.
him. Yeah.
So I don't understand it, man. I you know, I mean, it is what it is.
Dance flick. Yeah, there's
Yeah, Marlon is definitely a GOAT. You can't. And I'm not trying to throw GOAT around lightly. You just respect.
I just got a
is
certain
due.
respect for anybody. Let's even bring up rock music. If you put 30 years into rock music and you have that catalog, I gotta give you your respect.
Super facts.
So I just wanted to bring that up because that was kind of annoying the culture.
Yeah.
Not just people individually. Like even Tony Yayo was saying it when he was interviewing Tony Yayo, like, yo, Vlad, you need to humble yourself.
Yeah, like
That's not a tree you should be barking up right now.
You do.
Nah, I'm just saying, you know, we went back and forth. Like, you're not on that level. Yes, you're a millionaire. Yes, you have a platform.
Right.
You don't got 30 years within our culture.
Right.
And I think that's the mix up with Vlad, that he's leading with his pockets because you're paying artists. So you think because you're paying artists, like you have a certain say-so within black culture, that we're just going to stop respecting our elders within this thing of ours.
Yeah, man.
Salute to Marlon Wayans, man. Continue to build that great legacy of the Wayans family and your own legacy. Like I said, you're 30 years plus, man. We salute you. We still rocking with you. Keep going, GOAT.
Facts. Agreed.
A last hip-hop topic that was irking me.
Oh, boy.
This was irking me to no end. So your homegirl,
Who that be?
Sexy Red.
Oh,
you know you like
God.
Sexy Red music.
I so can.
Yeah. She just came out with a lip gloss line. And the titles of the individual flavors just blew everybody's mind. Like she had Yellow Discharge, Gonorrhea.
What? Wait, really?
I'm serious. Oh, you didn't hear about
T,
this?
I'm kind of bugging over here right now. No, I.
Yeah,
Why?
T could look it up.
Yeah. Who?
And here's the
Just
best.
go ahead.
Well, first and
say
foremost,
what you gotta say, man. Go
first
ahead.
and foremost,
Yeah.
because people say, "Oh, well, you know, don't let your kids raise your kids," but we know that our kids look up to these artists. Oh, see, T found it.
Yeah.
Our producer found it. That's why he's laughing over there.
my God,
Can you read
T.
some of those names real quick?
No, I'm not gonna.
You sound not gonna.
My producer won't even read the names
Yeah.
because I guess he thought I was capping. But
I'll put it up. You can read it. Just give me a minute.
yeah,
Take your time, T.
take your
please.
time, T.
Jesus, Lord have mercy. What? Oh my God. Why?
Coochie juice, booty hole brown,
Yeah.
nut, sex on my period, blue balls, gonorrhea, and yellow discharge.
Really? Really?
Where are we going with hip hop culture?
I don't know, man. That ain't in a good space. And let me say this, because you know what they're going to try to do? They're going to say, well, look at women like Trina and Lil' Kim
Nope.
and all them.
They
That
weren't
was-
selling products like
wasn't,
this.
No, they would never do this.
They got one called Nut.
Jesus Christ.
You know what my problem with this is? With the Sexy Red situation with her lip gloss line? She could have used her head or her people around her, whether it's management or, and I'm going to talk about the label next, Larry Jackson, I'm on your head like dandruff.
Yeah.
They could have used this to be a part of a larger discussion. Since you have STD names on your lip gloss, you could have used this to advocate for people to get checked. Because we have a high rate of STDs in every community. You could have hooked up with, what's the clinic name, the famous clinic name?
Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, you could have hooked up with Planned Parenthood and did something with this bigger than just making a mockery out of it. That's my problem. The one time where you could have turned something nasty into something educational, everybody around you missed the ball, including yourself. If you're going to sell a lip gloss where teenagers will be buying it, because there's going to be some 16 and 17-year-olds that follow her that's going to buy this, it could be something in there like inside the lip gloss package, like, please go get tested from Sexy Red. That would be dope. Then you could turn this mockery into something positive, like advocating for teenagers to get tested for STDs. So then that joke of a lip gloss turns into something positive. But this is what your friend Larry Jackson, who's a black man, who runs.
You sure?
You pull up Larry Jackson right now.
The dude that runs the company that she signed to?
Pull him up.
I thought he didn't look like
Pull him
this.
up.
My God. My God.
Gamma Records. Larry Jackson.
She's just making herself look more and more stupid. I can't.
I got the picture right here.
I can't. I can't.
It's,
It is Larry Jackson.
yeah. That brother right there who's 40 years old. Gamma is a media company that they're trying to use their technology services. This is why we're having problems with the hip hop, because they're treating hip hop like a technology service. This is who's behind it.
That's disgusting.
Larry Jackson from Gamma. This is who's behind the Sexy Red machine.
How embarrassing.
They're trying.
Yo, where's her mom? She got a mother or something?
Hey,
Wait,
I'm trying to
what
bring
are you
you to the
doing?
deep end with me.
I'm
We're struggling within hip hop culture to produce something right now,
My God.
and they're pushing Sexy Red out to the audience. But because the albums are flopping, and she's canceling tour dates, we now have to throw a product line out there. And this is the product line that they're throwing out for Sexy Red. Shout out to Larry Jackson, though. I mean, it's your media company. This is what you're doing as a black man.
Really?
What are your thoughts on this?
Is there really a thought? I mean, like, oh my God.
Because
You know what? Words. Ignorance, stupidity, selling your soul, I don't even. I think I'm not a lost word. Why? Who is in your circle telling you, yo, the money they're giving you to do this is what's up? I don't understand it. Could you imagine a girl putting that on and you like, yeah, I'm gonna put on my brown booty hole lipstick? I'm like, what? Wait, really? If I ever catch any female with that, it's just that because it's clearly younger men. As advice, if you see any woman out there with that, run away from them. Stay far away. Get out of there. Because only an idiot would even embrace that and buy that. Why? Oh my God! And sometimes that just tells you how stupid they think we are. You think you could go in like the Jewish neighborhood and sell something like that? Do you think that?
Oh, and just so they don't think I'm leaving somebody out, the president is Ike Youssef, which is a person that's not a brother. But I'm solely holding Larry Jackson responsible.
You think you can go into an Asian neighborhood and sell something like that?
No.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not holding Ike Youssef responsible. I'm holding Larry Jackson responsible. You should know better.
He should.
This goes back to what we talked about last year when we talked about the older acts in hip hop, and you went on that whole rant about the older acts in hip hop versus the newer acts.
Yeah.
So when somebody would try to say, "Oh, well, y'all had Trina, y'all had Foxy Brown, y'all had Little Kim,"
they would never do this.
Outside, they would never do this. When we talk about lyrical ability in all three of them, what do we have? We have some of the top lyricists within hip hop culture. When you mention a Little Kim, when you mention a Trina, when you mention a Foxy Brown,
and Trina talked about a lot of things other than sex. Just her hottest singles were about sex. Mm-hmm. She talked about a whole lot of other things. So did Kim and so did Foxy. So to hear this, I mean, what are you doing?
Got some catchy singles, but it's not sticking because that's what's been playing on the radio. But
they put Drake on the single.
Yeah, that's how they're trying to package it.
What was that guy's name?
Larry Jackson.
Worked with Drake at Apple.
Yeah.
Allegedly. You know, I'm sure he did.
Right. I know. That's why.
Pieces together to.
Yeah.
You see where I'm going with this, Ty?
And it is still flopping because it's crap.
They're trying to surround her with Drake, and that it's not translating because you know why it's not translating? Well, it's outside of that.
Yeah,
outside of it's not a good time for Drake. Yeah. As much grief as people give Drake built a foundation. I was in college. I'm dating myself. I'm in my late 30s. I was in college when he went on that mixtape run before his album dropped. Drake built a solid. People can clown him and try to say Ghost Rider this, Ghost Rider that. When I was in college and Drake released that mixtape before that album came out, he was spitting. When he was going on radio stations freestyling, he built a solid catalog before that first album came out. And then after the album came out, he's still putting work. His fan base ain't going to translate to a Sexy Red because they're over there for Drake for more than just the pop stuff. Drake is not just the pop one-hit wonder where he got some catchy singles. He can sell out arenas off of his catalog. What does Sexy Red have besides 2 singles, and one of them you got Drake on?
Right.
Good luck. So that's just I had to bring that up because we're starting to lose the plot with hip hop, and we're going to talk about that on another podcast moving forward. Like, who are the people carrying the torch moving forward? Not just for both sides, both genders, men and women. Who are the people carrying the torch moving forward? Because on the men's side, you just got a whole bunch of drill music.
Shouts out to Shy Rock. Shouts out to
Rhapsody. Shouts out to Underground like 38 Special.
Because I mean that is, and the reason why I'm bringing them up because, you know, I mean as a woman, really. All that crazy stuff you seen Mandy, what's her name, do when she was running around acting like a goofball and it was looking Miley Cyrus. Yeah. When you saw that, she wouldn't even do nothing like this. This is way over the line. What are you doing? What are you doing? Her mom's ain't somewhere putting a belt on her behind. Like, what are you doing? What? I would never want my son to bring a woman home like that. I mean, that's just being a trash bag. I don't want to say that because a sister and just say, look, you seem lost and you need to get back on together. But that's just, you a trash bag. I don't care how that sounds. You are a trash bag. And you are getting clowned and you don't even see it. And what's going to happen is you're going to get older and you're going to be embarrassed about stuff like this that you're promoting. It is ignorance. And then let me tell you something else that bothered me. She went to that high school and they smelled like weed and they told her to get out. And then when she's going away, she's out half of the car twerking with her ass in the air. What? Come on, man. Come on. She ain't going nowhere. She gonna be put right back on the shelf. I know I'm not animated about this because this is just pure ignorance. I mean, this is the most ignorant thing I've ever seen in my life. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
I think she's the female Tekashi.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good, yeah.
Whoever did whatever they did to manufacture what he went through, the court case and all that shit.
Wow, Ty.
Artist.
Yeah.
Yo, Ty, you just hit something out the park with that one. So our producer, Tyler, where we do this podcast and he's responsible for as the engineer. Y'all heard it. He says without the court case, without the rat allegations, that the people who manufactured Tekashi on the record label, they're trying to put that same energy in the Sexy Red. And now I see it. The problem is people forget before that whole court case with Tekashi, I hate to say this, I hate to admit it, he was pitting out hit after internet hit after internet hit. Like, it was like 1 week after another. And he would do it. He would jump online. Hey, I'm about to drop this on YouTube. I guarantee to have 7 million views in a day. And it would just keep going.
Right.
She don't got that type of catalog. So again, everybody that you're trying to compare to her, even 6ix9ine, had a way better catalog music-wise than Sexy Red. The music has to come first. But that was great, Ty.
But you don't feel like this, like it's like the stereotypical antics that they would have. Like, he was running through the streets with gold-plated guns and shit. She's the female version of, like, I'm just talking about sex all the time and all this other slutty shit.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Whatever they think the female version of that would be. That's what it seems like to me.
Jesus.
No, I agree, Ty. That was a good one.
Yeah, I agree too. She's a clown. That's what I agree to.
But if you're 25, would you take that money? 24, she's young, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Lord have mercy.
And let me say this before somebody try to call me misogynistic. I definitely agree with our producer, with our engineer. Yeah, she's 26, 27, whatever. And you take the money. Same thing with the men, because I'm notorious for calling out the men rappers. Just in case somebody thinks I'm coming down on a woman. We had this discussion multiple times about the 25-year-olds, and all they're talking about is drilling, and sliding on the ops, sliding on the ops. And even on the men's side, I'm starting to say, are we losing the plot? Because what message are y'all passing? What message are y'all passing? Everything is slide on the ops, walk them down. I got a Glock with a switch on it.
And they all getting locked up.
And they all catching RICO cases. They all getting locked up. I'm talking about the underground rappers.
I think I saw like a week ago, then they swept through the Bronx and they swept through the crew.
Swept through the Bronx, picked them cats up. And the reason why I'm saying underground is because that's where I come from hip-hop. Yeah, we had our top artists that were signed and doing big things. But I was a big J.R. Ryder fan. I was a big Fred the Godson fan, and P and Vado and all those underground, Tone Trump from Philly and Jag from Cali. And I used to name rappers from days underground-wise. Who are the underground rappers today carrying hip-hop forward?
I don't know. Who's Spesh?
Yeah, but he's older. He's our age.
I don't know.
Spesh, Benny the Butcher, and all them, they are age.
Okay.
I'm talking about like when we started this. Remember I used to, yo, you see that guy from Cali?
Yeah.
You see that guy from Florida?
I do remember
You see that guy from Philly?
I do remember that.
Where are the underground artists today that are not talking about drilling on the men's side? So I could switch genders and talk about the men all day. It's all shit.
Yeah, it's horrible. Unless you want to count on RJ Payne.
He's in his mid-40s.
And
I'm not being ageism. I'm just talking about when I'm looking at for somebody to carry. So for example, if I use an analogy with basketball, LeBron James is still great at 39, but we all know he's about to retire.
Right.
We're looking at Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum, and the rest of them cats. So for hip hop, RJ Payne is great. 38 Special is great. Benny the Butcher is great. But them guys is over the age of 38. Who are the cats that are 25 that are not talking about drilling?
Good point. Because I can't tell you.
So like I said, the men get it too.
Shouts out to Sin for Less. I love to hear something from her. And Duchess QNY. Because God knows this, dude, we in trouble. This is going to be the future. Let me also say something real quick about that drill thing as a side note. Y'all are out here talking about that. Y'all want to tell on yourselves. 2, you're down in your community. And 3, you're now a statistic. You're part of making up the population in jail. I mean, in New York, our population is decreasing. And in New York, because whether they're either moving out or moving somewhere else. And the ones that's there, that's what you're doing? Really? And from what I see with them, because I saw the report in the news, they like having shootouts in broad daylight, man.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of the day, on camera. And then getting locked up.
Hopefully moving forward, we can get some better hip hop acts that are not 38 or 40. And I'm not being ageism, but I really need to see the youth pick up the mantle again.
Yeah.
Even J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar, them cats is over 35.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, they my age, dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. J. Cole graduated.
Than that.
No, J. Cole graduated 2 years before me in college. He's like class of 2006 or whatever. J. Cole is like 2 years older than me, and you know how old I am.
Right. No, I get it.
So J. Cole is just about 40 or pushing 40, and Kendrick Lamar is like mid-30s. So again, even Drake ain't no 20. Drake ain't 28. Drake ain't 31. Drake is my age. Drake is 37.
Wow.
So that whole regime is about to hit 40. Who are the young spitters that are picking up the mantle saying, I'm going to take this culture and push it forward and switch the genre up? And I'm not going to be talking about running people down with a switch.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
That's our hip hop topics.
Yeah,
we'll come back.
yeah.
We'll come back for some more. We got a lot more to talk about hip hop wise. I don't want to drown out the point. Let's get into some sports before we get out of here.
Okay.
Now, we're gonna start off with the NFL. Now, I got my topic. Do you got something in the NFL you want to talk about?
Not this time. We're gonna roll with that one.
All right.
That one you got. Yeah.
So for the people out there that don't know, I'm a diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I've been a Steelers fan since a little boys. Since probably since 92. Before Cordell Stewart was the cornerback. So my topic is for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is this the year that Mike Tomlin is in the hot seat? And do we expect something more from him than a 500 record?
It depends on where he finishes. If he finishes in, I want to say, well, they got to make it past the first round of playoffs.
But that's the problem. We haven't had a playoff win in so long.
I get it, but you went in there with Mason Rudolph and you started off with Kenny Pickett and a horrible offensive coordinator by the name of Matt
I get
Canada.
it. That's why I said is this year.
Yes.
Is this year with Russell Wilson and pieces, is this the year that he's going to be held accountable if we don't get a playoff win?
Who, Tomlin?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we can't.
And I know what you told me last year. If he's not there, who's your coach?
Yeah. I can tell you, okay, so let me give you an analogy because I said this last year too. The Atlanta Falcons, we ain't been in the playoffs in 3 years.
But y'all looking good this year.
I get it, but we had to, and we went through Matt Ryan, Marcus Mariota, and Desmond Ridder, right? Let me make this clear. I'm not trying to make it about the Falcons. We didn't make it for 3 years. Hopefully, because of decisions we made, we're going to make it this year. Now, let me switch back to Pittsburgh. Somehow, Tomlin has kept them afloat at 500, and it's not all his fault because whoever the GM is, like we've been through this before. The reason why Tomlin is in this situation because when they kept waiting until Roethlisberger's right on his last leg,
past his last
leg,
leg,
and was like, "Yo, we're gonna get somebody." I don't know how Tomlin did it last year, but he finished 10-7. That was after you drafted Kenny Pickett. Am I saying his name right?
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett. You drafted him, and then you turned around and had this horrible offensive coordinator by the name of Matt Canada. It was so bad that at a Pittsburgh hockey game, they were chanting for his job. So what I'm trying to tell you is, through all that, Tomlin figured out how to make it to playoffs. This year, he has a real quarterback. His offensive coordinator is somebody completely different. And at the end of the day, he has Russell Wilson. So I think he will do good. And I think Russell Wilson's catching a lot of heat, and they're like, Russell Wilson.
Because the preseason or what?
Well, he looked better in the preseason game, and Tomlin announced today that he's the starter
quarterback. Yeah.
But what I think I have a problem with everybody with Russell Wilson, this all ties in. They say, well, Russell Wilson, he's playing for his job and all this. I'm sorry, did you not see where he came from? Do you not see what Nathaniel Hackett's doing in New York? Right? So I'm trying to understand. Then he got with Sean Payton, and the team got better. They were in a playoff run. They were trying to get to the playoffs, but they finished 7-10 or 7-9. It was not that bad. But you could see Russell Wilson got better. He started looking like the better quarterback that he can be. Then they say, oh, well, he holds the ball too long. Well, what, Bo Nick's going to get you to the Super Bowl this year or something that I don't know about? What do you mean he holds the ball too long? So what? They all hold the ball too long. But it's just a criticism that I don't like that they're giving Russell Wilson. And I think that Pittsburgh has a good defense. They now have an offensive coordinator that the whole place. Because it was so bad with Canada, I don't think anybody liked him.
Damn, I was pulling my little hairline out.
Yeah,
I ain't got no hairline. I was pulling what little hairline I had left out because I was like, what are you running where we're barely putting up 9 points in a game?
Yeah, it's bad, right? So my whole thing is, Canada, I mean, like with all that, now he's gone. So you now have it. And also let me say this as a side note to tie this in. I don't like what they did to Pickett. I know Desmond Ridder just got cut from the Cardinals, but I don't like what they did to Pickett. You drafted this kid, and then you said you saw that Mason Rudolph got you to the playoffs. I am so sick and tired of watching these kids come into the league, and they think like, well, you don't look good through your first season of the game. I'm not going to sidetrack to that yet. After we get done talking about this, I might call an audible. But the point I'm making is that I don't like what they did to Pickett. So they shipped him off somewhere and said, we're going to do Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. And I get it. You want to win now because it works. Well, see, this is the thing. You went in there with Mason Rudolph, who you cut and sent him somewhere because you think you can do better, Russell Wilson. And I get it. But on the flip side of it, this guy got you in the playoffs when it was looking horrific. You can at least keep the guy there and say, yo, we rocking with Russell, but we going to have you here.
Mason Rudolph as the backup. Right. I agree with that.
So now you have no Mason Rudolph. Who got you there? You don't have him there no more. So like you said, this better work because you done exercised all options. And the only reason you get to keep your job because you got to get Pickett out and Mason Rudolph out is because you made the playoffs with Mason Rudolph. Tomlin had to go in there and tell them, look, you got to give me these guys if you want to take it to the next step. But if I'm the owner, I'm like, yo, you want me to get rid of the guy that helped you keep your job and got you in the playoffs last year?
This is why the question was, you putting your balls on the table, but this better work.
This better work. Because if it doesn't, and mind you, I know he's Mason Rudolph, but you got Russell Wilson, which is a great upgrade. But you got to remember, you're not in the AFC West. No, you're not in the AFC East where you can be wide open. You're not in
Okay, we about to heat up right now. Keep going.
The AFC East where it's wide open. Like, you're not in the AFC East where teams are rebuilding and it's wide open. You're not in the AFC South where maybe...
Where they at, eh? The AFC North, right?
The AFC North.
Who's
you're
in there?
The AFC North with three other guys and three other franchises, which Lamar Jackson, they're trying to get to the Super Bowl. It's not no Lamar Jackson is going to take the next step this year and see can he get... They are trying to get to the Super Bowl. You have Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, and Cleveland's all in on trying to get to the Super Bowl, right? And you got Cincinnati with Joe Burrow, and they are trying to get back to the Super Bowl. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, when you try to say you're taking the next step further and make a deep run, how you going to do it with those guys in that franchise in the same division? You're not in the NFC West. We all know Arizona ain't going to make it out of there. You're not in the NFC South where Atlanta looks good, New Orleans is okay, Carolina's rebuilding. You're not in the NFC East where Dallas is they got 12 wins. Jalen Hurts is trying to get back to playoffs. He just got offensive coordinator. Washington's rebuilding. In your division, nobody's rebuilding. Everybody's all in on trying to get to a Super Bowl. And it's, 12 spots or 8 spots that are 7 spots for the NFL playoffs.
Yep.
And you got 4 teams in your conference, and somebody's going to have to go. Now, Cincinnati didn't make it last year because Burrow tore his ACL. That is no longer the case. Deshaun Watson now has 1 year under his belt. Now I think he'll be fresh. And we all know with Lamar Jackson, and they ain't playing. They went and got Derrick Henry, said we all in.
So now since we stated about where they're at in the AFC North, what are our expectations of Russell Wilson?
I think this is what I think. If Russell Wilson, he does, I think the expectations is just play like yourself of old, and we can do it. We can do better than what we do.
I hear you, but you're really good in football. Where do we put him amongst the QBs, not just in his division, but that he's going to be competing with on that side?
What, right now?
Yeah.
He's in the middle of the pack.
Okay.
He's in the middle of the pack. Because what are we talking here? We're talking, okay, so let's just a freestyle. Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, who's in a rebuild year, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, who am I missing? Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers, Tua Tagovailoa. I'm butchering his name. I completely apologize, Tua. Tua and I don't know, the Jets, Miami, Josh Allen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. You got those 8 guys that I can think of right now, just off the top of my head. So I don't know with 8 guys, those are 8 guys. But you know what? You got a Steelers. You got one of the top 10 defenses. You got an ill running back crew. You got a tight end that you can dump off to. That's not to mention with Najee Harris and all them you can dump off. Russell Wilson's a guy, and you got Pickens. Russell Wilson's a guy that he can, even when he holds the ball too long, he also holds it until he gets in, and he lets the receivers work their way to get open. So I think this year they'll clearly break 500. It's not. I think.
How many games are they winning?
I think they'll break 500. What I think is that they'll win. I think the question is, will they get to the playoffs? And if they do, how far will they go?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think the questions are. I want to say going in last year, that wasn't a question.
Okay, that's fair.
So maybe it's an upgrade now. It's definitely an upgrade. You just keep in mind. Let me say this. They say that Denver got rid of him and you know, they paid him to go away. Just keep in mind those owners, the owners that's now the Broncos, they weren't the owners when they signed Russell Wilson.
So they weren't loyal to him.
They wasn't loyal to him. But Sean Payton comes in and says, yo, look, you know, we need to, I know what he said to him. We got to blow up the team. And they got a lot of dead money on it.
He a better person than me because I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm not trying to preach violence. You know, I know you have to take certain things as a player. Mm-hmm. But the way Peyton was talking to him like he was some backup scrub that ain't had no championship.
That he ain't had no Super Bowls.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. I'd have took him in the back in the locker room and say, if you ever talk to me like that on camera again, I'm going to fly upside your head and take the fine.
Yep. I got to eat.
But he's too nice. He's too nice of a person. I would have flew upside him and then said, all right, trade. Yeah, I'm going to trade me anyway. So, take this upside your head real quick.
Right. I think a lot of players weren't agreeing with Peyton because I think Peyton's kind of made the team young. They keep saying Bo Nix is the man, which I do. I hope Nix works out. I just don't like what they did to Russell Wilson. And now he's going to Pittsburgh. It's all doubts. Well, it can be all doubts. I just know that he's been in multiple playoffs more since y'all been in the Super Bowl, and he's got a Super Bowl ring. Just saying.
Next NFL topic, unless you want to call audible.
I just want to say real quick. Is it? Were you gonna go to?
I'm still in the NFL, but if you want to audible, go ahead.
What topic were you gonna go into?
It's the 49ers window closing.
Okay. I wanted to do it in this window.
Okay.
I'm gonna call it audible. I want to just say real quick with Tua, because there's reports that came out. He talked about how Brian Flores was like sitting up there saying how he was the worst quarterback, how you're the worst player, and that it did take some toll and effect. Tua admitted it. It took a toll and effect on him. Because,
really?
It took a toll and effect on him. And remember, Flores had tried to create this lawsuit of saying they wouldn't hire him because he was black. But then Tua comes out and says what he says. If you look at Tua's stats, the minute Flores went out that door, you see the difference. So, and I'm not saying that I'm making excuses for Flores, but he even acknowledged in his press conference last week when they addressed him about it, he said he wasn't really too happy about it, but he understands. And he says maybe if he did, he could go back and change some things. What I also noticed in that press conference, he didn't deny anything that Tua said. So, and you also know he comes from the Brian Belichick tree. Can I also go back to that part? Just follow me. It's only going to take a minute. So let's just go back to what we used to talk about with the Belichick way, right? We always keep saying, "Oh, the Belichick way." Let me tell y'all dummies in the NFL industry, that does not work. It does not work. Detroit. Let me tell you something. It was so bad in Detroit with what is that dude's name? I forgot his name, but whatever. He was the defensive coordinator, and then he got the job at the Lions. It got so bad. I remember Darius Slay said, "I don't want to play for this guy no more." Matthew Stafford, when they were going to trade him out of Detroit to start over again, he said, "Send me anywhere but New England," because the Patriot way wasn't working with who that dude was, right? Then you go to Vegas with the Raiders, and it was clear that Josh McDaniels had lost the team, right? Because he tried the Patriot way. Flores went down to Miami with the Patriot way, and there were some things that Stephen Ross has done that don't look good, but you clearly had lost a franchise player. You wanted Justin Herbert, but you didn't get him. And it's kind of like what you said about Michael Jordan and Kwame Brown. They didn't get the player they wanted, so you took it out on Kwame Brown. It's like with Flores, you didn't get the quarterback you wanted, so you took it out. That Belichick way of disrespecting people, that's not going to work. You had Brady to run the show to allow you to do that. That ain't going to work. And then, Stephen A. Smith and them be like, "Well, I don't understand why nobody's getting Belichick." Ain't nobody, I don't want that guy in my locker room.
Nope.
Because those young kids ain't going to tolerate that.
What did I just say about Sean Payton?
Payton, you take him outside in the back. Like, yo, you talk to me. Like, I was hearing with Belichick, like, you can't talk to him. If you question anything, it's going to be a wrap. This is what put Belichick in. And it caught up to Belichick, too. Because when he got Matt Jones, what did he do? He irritated him and kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it to a point where Matt Jones was like, "Yeah, whatever." He called Saban, who snitched on him. And he said, "Yo, look, I don't know how to deal with this dude. This dude's he's a little too tough on me," right? And then Saban, who he done got his ass shipped up out of there because he can't keep up with the new era. But at the end of the day, that Belichick way does not work. It only worked because Brady allowed it, and Brady was a rookie that came in. So he don't know no other way but when he did with Belichick. But the point I'm making is that Flores had that same mentality, and it didn't work. Your team played tough, but your quarterback wasn't playing great because you brought that, and you know I'm all about energy. So you brought a horrific type of energy to this quarterback. Now he's flourishing. Now I know Tua's not playing well in the playoffs and not good, but they did make the playoffs.
That's a good point.
Flores didn't make the playoffs, and let me tell you something else. That's going to hurt him down the pipeline because if I'm an owner, I don't want that guy nowhere near. So just say, we don't draft the guy, you quarterback you want. You going to start acting like that? Nah, you can get your ass up out of here. I put too much money into this kid and throw the ball for you to have a hissy fit because you ain't get the kid you want. No, sir. So.
Good audible. So last NFL topic before I switch to some WNBA stuff, and then we wrap this up.
Yeah.
Going back to the 49ers. Is the 49ers window officially closing?
It's starting to. Did you want to say something? Or
Nah,
okay.
That's the question a lot.
It's starting to, and I'm gonna tell you why. So Ayuk, who clearly is making it clear, like, yo, you're taking care of everybody else, and if you're not taking care of me, I ain't playing.
Come on, Pittsburgh.
But
Get him.
What I'm gonna say about this, and I'm gonna tell you why it's closing.
One more move.
At some point, because I know Kyle Shanahan replaces players great, and he picks late in the draft and picks great players. That's gonna run out at some point. That's one. Two, the players you got now, you can't keep everybody. Because when Brock Purdy's turn is up, you're going to have to cut a check. And I don't think, and it's just my eye test, of course, every quarterback needs weapons. But I don't think Brock Purdy is that quarterback that with so-so players, he can be great. He needs great players to be great. Whereas some quarterbacks just need, like Roethlisberger didn't have the greatest receiver core, but he was great with them. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? So it just makes it to a point where you start to look and say, you need to figure this out. You know, y'all better figure this out because the clock is ticking. I can tell you right now, they might got this year.
So this is it for the 49ers.
Okay, so let me make it clear. So Jalen Hurts and them is coming, right? Mm-hmm. They're not going to back down from you. Jalen Hurts and them is coming. And they already put a beat down on you. Jordan Love is coming, right? Let's just be honest about that. And who else? I'm thinking about the NFC North. Is Green Bay, Minnesota. I forgot who else. I'm missing somebody here. But Jordan Love is coming. You now have Atlanta that's rebuilding with abundance of players. The Rams did very well last year. Just nobody was paying attention because of all the injuries. So now they're coming. You have an abundance of teams that are coming. Now, mind you, on the other side, even if it's not Patrick Mahomes, even if you make the Super Bowl, you're either going to face, I'm going to give them a bit of fire, you're either going to face Josh Allen and the Bills. This is your options. Josh Allen and the Bills, Tua and the Dolphins, right? Aaron Rodgers and the Jets have built teams. They're building a team, right? The whole AFC North. And you're talking about Jacksonville, who's coming with Trevor Lawrence, right? Mm-hmm. And you're talking about the AFC West, where you have Patrick Mahomes and you have Justin Herbert. So even if you get to the Super Bowl in your conference, that's what's waiting on for you on the other side. Just saying. By the way, the starting tackle for the 49ers, who's in his late 30s, don't know how long that's going to keep up either. Mm-hmm. This is what I'm trying to tell you. When all those young guys' contracts are up, they're going to come knocking on the door. What you going to do? And you got Brock Purdy. So I don't know what to say to that.
All right. So that's it for the NFL. Mm-hmm. So now I'm going to switch to the WNBA. Mm-hmm. So originally I was going to phrase this as a MVP race between Asia Wilson and Nafisha Collier. Because according to people on ESPN, they only see Asia Wilson. I think the race is between her and Nafisha Collier, and Nafisha, if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, is right under her. But before I get to that, I want to address the Las Vegas Aces. Recently, the Las Vegas Aces, who did they play?
They played Chicago.
No, I mean like yesterday.
Oh, last night?
Yeah, it Dallas?
They lost to Dallas.
So you lost to the worst team in the league, but here's the kicker.
Yeah.
Asia Wilson had 42 points on 72% efficiency.
Damn.
I'm going to say that slowly. Mrs. Wilson had 42 points out of 92 or out of 90 on 72% efficiency, and they lost. What's going on with the Las Vegas Aces?
From what I see when I was watching the game, I mean, because Kelsey Plum is still playing great. Chelsea, Chelsea is still playing.
You got
great.
Jackie Young.
Jackie Young is playing great. I think maybe defensively, they're missing some things. Shots out too. I mean, they cut Deasia Fair, and I don't know why they did that. They said she was a defensive lapse, and they still seem to be having
It looked
those
like you
issues.
having some defensive problems outside
Yeah.
of a Deasia Fair, but
Yeah.
go ahead.
So, I think that the point I'm making is that defensive wise, they're not doing well, and I don't know what more to say. I mean, you let the worst team in the league beat you. Now I will say that
After, again, Asia had 42 points. You know how hard it is to shoot over 50%? She shot 72%.
she's gonna be a GOAT one day. Asia's at that level. She keeps this up, she's gonna be a GOAT one day. But Asia Wilson, I mean, there's nothing more you can do. I mean, and they're falling the fourth place? Are they in the fourth spot, I think? If I'm not mistaken.
No, that might be the Lynx. Give me a second.
I thought the Lynx were in the top spot. At least on the
No,
underside.
it's the Liberty.
It's Liberty,
It's the Liberty, Connecticut,
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota, Seattle. Seattle's in the fourth spot.
Wow.
The Aces fell all the way to fifth.
Yeah. But it's also a thing of equivalent of they've been here where they went back-to-back championships.
Yeah.
So I think with them, it's not that they're in cruise control, but they've been here long enough that it don't matter to them as long as they get in the playoff hunt. So it's not.
We already seen them.
gonna go,
We already
it's just
seen them
where they're
versus
gonna go.
Minnesota twice.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota put that thing on them.
Yeah, Minnesota has a lot of people's numbers, and nobody's paying attention to
Mind
them.
you, they got two players from the Connecticut Sun. I'll just leave that out there.
Mm-hmm.
Got Courtney Williams and Natasha.
Wait.
You missed that.
Wait.
Minnesota has two players.
Yes.
Formerly
Yeah.
from the Connecticut
Yeah.
Sun.
Oh, yeah.
Courtney Williams, who at one point was the lead guard.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Courtney Williams. I don't want to get her name wrong.
Right.
Let me just look up
No,
the
you're
roster
right.
real quick.
You're right. That's her name.
And Natasha, I can't pronounce the last name, so I don't want to butcher it. Natasha H. Two former Connecticut Sun players look like they about to win the championship. That's all I'm going to say.
Right. And I think, like I said, the Aces are definitely, I think, not that they're in cruise control, but they know we just got to get in the playoffs and we're going to do what we know how to do best.
Yeah.
Got to turn it up another level.
How much is these last 8 to 10 games important for Asia Wilson's MVP race? Because when Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith was speaking, they was, there's nobody close to her. There's no, and I'm like, y'all not watching Nafisha Collier?
Yeah.
She's literally right behind her with a better record.
Facts. Yep.
What's your thoughts on that?
That Angel, I'm sorry. That
Asia Wilson in the MVP race.
Asia Wilson.
They're saying it's unanimous. Do you think it's unanimous right now?
I do not.
Me neither.
Unless even if Asia does everything she does and she keeps doing it for 10 straight games, you still got and still got to look at Collier. Her body of work. If at the end of the season Collier is at a higher place and her body work is consistent, then it looks unanimous. But for right now, it could be both ways. But I'm more leaning towards Collier because she has the better record. And she's contributing way more than maybe people are seeing. That's the best way I can explain it.
All right. So I got 2 more topics.
Okay.
You know what? I'll just cut it to one. We went to the Connecticut Sun versus the LA Sparks at TD Garden. We was at that one.
Mm-hmm.
Can we briefly talk about our experience going to TD Garden, watching a WNBA game that was sold out?
Oh, yeah. First of all, it was a great experience. The aura of the garden, TD Garden, was dope.
Still smell like a championship in there. I still smell the champagne on the walls.
Yo, it was definitely fly. We as media were treated with respect. We got good angles, good views. It was good to see that it came out. And shouts out to Dejanay Carrington, who called out. And first of all, she got behind the game and promoted it herself on social media. And then she also called it out at the post-game press conference and made it clear, like, look, we the only ones that rocked out. Like we didn't really get no
other promotion from the league,
It wasn't even
from the
a-
marketing
and
department.
it wasn't even a nationally televised game.
And they sold
And
it
we
out.
sold it out in the Garden. So
You know
shouts
how
out
big
to
of a
Dejanay.
shout out to Dejanay Carrington, but do you realize how big of a ball drop that was?
Yeah. Yes.
That a game was sold out in the Garden and it wasn't televised, and that a player had to put it on their Instagram and Twitter, but the PR people and the marketing team behind the WNBA didn't think of this.
Facts.
Because if it was another player, I'll just say another player. Y'all know where I'm going with it.
Yep.
If it was another player, I'm pretty sure that game, because I got family in that Midwest area. I'll just leave that out there.
Right.
My family lives in that Midwest area. Hint, hint. If it was another player, I'm pretty sure that game would have been televised.
Yes.
I'll say that. Great experience overall.
Very good.
That's something big that I think the Connecticut Sun should do for next season. See if y'all can switch off
Right.
and play more than one, play 2 or 3 games in the Garden, because you're going to sell it out.
Yep.
Jason Tatum showed up. Drew Holiday showed up. The WNBA players are going to support. And if you got that kind of turnout from a WNBA game that wasn't promoted, I could just imagine if you do that next year with the same heads up.
Right. Agreed.
Shout out to the Connecticut Sun. They're in second place. Can we briefly talk about them?
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on the Connecticut Sun? Because they're picking up, they got that trade.
Yeah.
Marina lit Chicago ass up.
Oh my God. Check out my article on Enveonline.
That's
about
coming. That article about that game recap is
Ooh,
coming.
Lord. Yeah,
She smelled blood in the water.
It went after him. And
Listen,
you know more about that
listen.
story. Can you talk about that going into that game?
Well, the story is, if you read the articles, that apparently Marina Mayberry, I hope I'm pronouncing her last name right, or I'll just say Marina. My apologies. Marina wanted out of Chicago, allegedly. Connecticut picks her up.
And that was that, huh?
They play Chicago, and she smelled blood in the water like a great white shark
Because she finished the game with 24 points.
on good efficiency
Yeah.
and wasn't fazed by being tackled by old girl.
Yeah.
I love Kennedy Carter. I love her game. I love her enthusiasm. But for somebody so great, there has to be a level of maturity that's played with on the floor, or you're going to stop yourself from reaching your full potential.
Right.
Some of that maturity kept her off the floor by picking up cheap fouls. You halfway clothesline Marina in the first quarter. That's a foul right there. But that's neither here nor there. Mayberry, Marina smelled blood in the water, finished that game like that. Now they have another piece because there was somebody out. They got a player that didn't show up that was ill. But I like that because now they have depth at the shooting spot.
Right.
You need that going into the playoffs. Then they finally beat New York Liberty.
Yep.
Finally beat the Liberty.
I saw that. Yes.
To me, that's a good sign.
In their home.
In their home court.
Yeah.
So that makes me feel a little better moving forward to the
Right.
playoffs.
They beat New York in New York, which gives them the confidence. And what Coach White has said prior to that game, because remember, we went to the previous Liberty game when they played Connecticut in New York. And remember, they were about to play the Olympics. And she took Alyssa Thomas out. And she said, I'm playing the long game. And the long game was Saturday. And they won. So I think with Connecticut, it's not, if they get to the playoff, it's not.
Because they're locked in for the second spot.
Right. What it is if they see the Liberty down the pipeline, can they beat the Liberty in a 5-game series? That's what they're looking at right now, which I think after seeing what I saw, I think they can. And they're full staff. Remember, Brianna Jones wasn't playing last year.
Okay. It's going to be the Sun versus the Lynx in the championship?
I could see it. I could see it.
I'm throwing that out there. Not my partner, but I'm saying.
Right. I can see it.
Who's your picks? My picks is the Sun and the Lynx.
I would say the Sun. Yeah, the Sun in Minnesota. I think Minnesota's on a roll. They're on a mission, and nobody's talking about them. It's Corsa, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Vegas. Should they repeat? But with Minnesota, nobody's talking about them. So I don't know. which is a good thing, probably.
Yeah, flying under the radar.
Yeah.
So that's the end of our sports topics. Now we got something that we want to talk about before we close out. I'll leave the floor to you.
You sure you want me to do this? 'Cause
Yeah.
You read it, right?
Nah, you could just go off that.
Okay. So a young lady by the name of Shantae Weaver, yesterday, we're on Wednesday, so I'm thinking
A few
days ago, the night before her wedding, her fiance was killed in a car crash by a drunk driver that was going in the wrong direction. He died on at that accident the night before the wedding, the night before the day of the wedding. I just wanted, as from Enveonline, to send our condolences to her and her family and his family. And I just also wanted to say that if any positive thing you can get out of this whole situation, I don't want to go into the details of the story. I don't want to do that. That's up to, who the powers that be, parties and families that were involved. But the moral point of this story is why I want any positive thing you can get out of this is tomorrow is not promised. This is a clear incident because I'm pretty sure everybody, his family, like when you see the story, like the families were both there, his family, her friends, his friends, they were all getting ready for this day. And boom, life changed just like that in an instance. So I don't know, being our age, having kids and everything, and us valuing life and trying to do what we do the second half of life, when you see and hear things like that from individual that we have crossed paths with.
Yeah, somebody we'll just say somebody we network with.
We networked with before.
Was a great person to network with.
Right.
She's a very educated person, doing her thing as an adult, raising a family. She has her own, I'm not putting out her business, but, very educated person that we cross paths with networking wise.
Right.
And I just personally want to send my heartfelt condolences, not only to her, but to his family. You never want to go through that. And I'm at a loss for words reading this story in the paper and so forth. As somebody who's married myself, I couldn't imagine going through that. So to Shantae Weaver and to the gentleman's family, send my heartfelt condolences. Yeah,
I'm just ditto. That's all I can say. I mean, all I can say, man, is, keep God first and everything else will hopefully fall into place. That's the only thing I'm going to keep saying in every episode at this point. Because that was just kind of crazy when I saw that. That was very, very heartbreaking to see that.
So I wanted to get his name correct. Rest in peace to Kurt Walker Jr. So rest in peace to Kurt Walker Jr. and condolences to your family, man.
Thanks.
Appreciate anybody tuning in, whether it's one person or whether it's 1,000 people. Until the next time, keep God first, as you said. God bless to you all out there.
Right. Facts.
Signing off.
1.